Hi, welcome to Mark Green Nutrition. Today we're going to be talking about intermittent fasting and whether you should be following this diet. So first of all, why the blog? Now, intermittent fasting gets quite a lot of media coverage, particularly because of things like Michael Mosley and his blood sugar diet, his 5-2 diets, and it gets a lot of media attention and public interest as a result. So the questions I'm looking to address today is, does it increase weight loss? Is it better for health? And ultimately, should you be following such a diet? Before we can do that though, we need to define it. Now really, any significant reduction in calories for any prolonged period of time where you're cycling the calories between days or even hours is technically intermittent fasting. But when you look into the literature, there's 3 definitive types. The first is alternate day fasting. So this is where you have no food for one day and then you go back to the status quo on another day. So really you are cycling between 0 calories and then have what you want essentially. The second type is modified fasting, and this is your more commercial product. So this is like your 5-2 diet where you eat what you want for 5 days and then you have 2 days of lower calorie intake, maybe 800 calories a day. And then the final type in the literature is time restricted fasting. So you only eat between certain hours in the day. So why does it work? Now in theory, having lower calorie days or prolonged periods between eating allows your body to break down its fat stores and therefore you reduce your body fat and your weight. Now the proposed benefits include reduced inflammation in the body, improved cell repair, improved insulin and hormonal resistance, weight loss of course, reduction in blood lipids including LDL cholesterol and improvements in good cholesterol, HDL cholesterol, less circulating glucose in the system, and increased gut microbiota, so the good bacteria in the gut. And actually there's a very interesting study in rodents that showed that mice that were fed continuously throughout the day and into the night developed things like obesity and also had impaired metabolism. Whereas when they looked at other mice that were restricted to the times that they could eat, despite having the same calorie intake, those mice didn't go on to develop obesity and the metabolic issues that the other mice saw. So why aren't we rolling this out to everyone? Now, although it showed beneficial health effects compared to control groups, when you actually compare it to other diets and just continuous calorie restriction, the results are actually comparable. So no one dietary method is significantly better than the others. So when you're looking at intermittent fasting or continuous calorie restriction, actually the evidence shows us at the moment there's no extra benefit of doing intermittent fasting. In other words, it's not some super method that's going to get you additional health benefits than if you just watched what you ate and followed a healthy diet. Also, the research with intermittent fasting is still quite young or in its infancy, and a lot of the research is in rodents. And animal studies aren't always the best evidence to then extrapolate to humans because we have slightly different physiologies and more importantly you have a lot more variables with humans. So even if the physiology is applicable to humans, what you find is with rodents you can control almost every variable because essentially you are feeding them and they get what they're given and they have no say in the matter. Whereas when humans get back into the real world, we're suddenly presented with choice. So actually whether these diets work in the real world is a completely different question to whether they work in the lab. So theoretically, loads of diets work, but the problem is the sustainability, and that's why a lot of diets aren't endorsed by dietitians or the government recommendation. And finally, the studies that did involve humans have really focused more on like religious fasting like Ramadan as opposed to intermittent fasting itself. There are a few studies, but a lot of them have very few participants. Most of them are 50 people or less, which we wouldn't consider even close to significant to get a clear idea of whether or not these diets work. So a lot more evidence is needed. But at the moment, as it's presented, it shows that it has no additional benefits over pretty much any other diet, and particularly just continuous calorie restriction. So why all the media attention? Quite frankly, people like a gimmick. It's a bit more sexy and shiny and new when you say you have this new method called intermittent fasting that's going to help you lose weight and has these superb health benefits, as opposed to saying, just follow a healthy diet and exercise regularly. How about type 2 diabetes? So currently there's limited data with it as well as with the weight loss. And we know with type 2 diabetes, one of the key management plans is weight loss in 90% of people. So if you're able to follow something and stick to it, then yes, you'll get the benefits. But currently there's not enough evidence to show that this is a good or beneficial method over anything else to improve your type 2 diabetes control. So in summary, intermittent fasting shows no additional benefit compared to continuous energy restriction, but they are comparable. Now, this is significant because they are comparable, which means that if you find this works for you and you can stick to it, then you will get the same benefits as someone that's just able to moderate their diet, which we know is something that people really struggle with. So ultimately, most diets, and intermittent fasting included, it seems actually the key element is the long-term sustainability. It's no good losing weight for 3 months because we want to get the long-term benefits, and that's only seen if you can stick to the diet and actually lose the weight long-term. And that's my summary on intermittent fasting. So I try and get into the evidence and look at the research to see what the truth is with these things. So if you like what you see, check out my diabetes blog at diabetesdietguy.com, or my services page, which is markgreennutrition.co.uk. A lot more information and services on both those pages, and a lot more blogs. So if you suffer with diabetes, check out the Diabetes Diet Guy. Or if you're interested in some help or advice, check out Mark Green Nutrition and get in touch, and hopefully we can have a chat and I can help. So that's it for now, guys, and until next time, I'll see you later.